They told her the gear would fit. But under the punishing heat of Fort Braxton's sun, Maya Chen looks like a child wearing someone else's war. The helmet dips over her brow. The vest hangs like dead weight off her shoulders. Every strap is a reminder this place wasn't made for her. 43 recruits surround her, all men, all muscle, all stretching like wolves ready to run. At 5'3", Maya barely reaches their chests. She doesn't grunt. She doesn't flex. She just stands still, trying not to drown in the silence before the storm. And it comes. All right, listen up. Sergeant Rick Morrison's voice detonates through the humid Carolina air. His face is a battlefield of scars and sunburn, 20 years of war carved into every wrinkle. He scans the group like he's hunting weakness, and when his eyes find Maya, they don't just stop. They settle, they judge, and then they dismiss. Today, he barks, his voice cold steel, we separate the soldiers from the damn fantasies. Maya's fingers unconsciously drift to the small silver chain hidden beneath her uniform, habit she's developed over the past 3 weeks of hell. The metal is warm against her skin, a reminder of promises made and debts unpaid. Morrison continues his speech, pacing like a predator. The Ranger Challenge course has broken stronger candidates than you. It's designed to test every limit of human endurance, tactical thinking, and raw determination. His eyes find Maya again. Some of you clearly don't belong here. Snickers ripple through the group. Jake Brennan, a 6'4" former college football player from Texas, nudges his buddy. Bet she doesn't make it past the first obstacle, he whispers, just loud enough for Maya to hear. I'll take that bet, responds Tommy Rodriguez, another recruit whose biceps strain against his uniform sleeves. She'll quit before we even start. Maya keeps her eyes forward, her breathing steady. She's heard worse, much worse. The course stretches before them like a gauntlet designed by sadists. 12 obstacles spread across 2 miles of unforgiving terrain. Cargo nets that reach toward the sky. Mud crawls through barbed wire. Rope climbs over churning water. Wall climbs that would challenge mountain goats. And finally, the piece de resistance, a series of tactical puzzles that require split-second decision-making under extreme physical duress. Chun! Morrison's bark makes several recruits jump. Maya doesn't flinch. Front and center, she steps forward, her boots crunching on the gravel. Morrison circles her like a shark scenting blood. Tell me, Chun, what exactly makes you think you can hang with these men? What's your background? Yoga instructor? Elementary school teacher? The recruits laugh on cue. Maya's jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. I'm here to serve my country, Sergeant. That's not what I asked. Morrison steps closer, his breath hot against her face. I asked about your qualifications, your experience. What makes a little girl like you think she can handle Ranger training? The silence stretches like a taut wire. Maya can feel 43 pairs of eyes boring into her, waiting for her to break, to cry, to quit. Instead, she straightens her shoulders. I believe actions speak louder than words, Sergeant. Morrison's laugh is cold and sharp. Actions? The only action you should take is walking your ass back to civilian life before someone gets hurt because of your limitations. With respect, Sergeant, I'd like the chance to prove myself on the course. Prove yourself? Morrison's voice rises to a roar. You want to prove yourself? Fine. But when you fail, and you will fail, I want you to remember that I tried to save you the embarrassment. He turns to address the group, his voice carrying across the training ground. Gentlemen, meet your liability. When Chun here washes out, the rest of you will continue. But until then, you're only as strong as your weakest link. The weight of collective resentment settles on Maya's shoulders like a lead blanket. She can feel their anger, their certainty that she'll hold them back, cost them precious seconds, make them all look weak by association. Actually, Morrison adds with a cruel smile, let's make this interesting. Chun, since you're so eager to prove yourself, you'll run the course last. alone, while the rest of the group watches. Let's see how those actions speak when there's nowhere to hide. Maya nods once, sharp and crisp. Yes, Sergeant. The next 4 hours are a masterclass in human endurance and ego. One by one, the recruits tackle the course. Some fly through with impressive times. Jake Brennan manages a respectable 47 minutes, his football training evident in his explosive power. Others struggle, crawling across the finish line, bloody and exhausted. Maya watches every run with the intensity of a hawk studying prey. She notes the way Jake attacks the rope climb with brute force, burning out his arms for the wall climb later. She observes how Tommy takes the tactical puzzles too quickly, missing obvious solutions in his rush. She catalogs every mistake, every inefficiency, every wasted motion. Taking notes for your autobiography? Jake taunts as he towels off after his run. Chapter 1. The Day I Realized I Didn't Belong? Maya doesn't respond. Her fingers find her hidden chain again, and for just a moment, her mask slips. Pain flickers across her features, old pain, deep pain, the kind that never fully heals. Tommy notices. What's wrong, Chun? Having second thoughts? It's not too late to call your mommy to come pick you up. Leave her alone. The voice comes from an unexpected source, Corporal James Walker, a quiet recruit from Montana who rarely speaks. She hasn't done anything to you. Jake rounds on him. Defending your girlfriend, Walker? Or are you just worried she'd make us all look bad when she face plants into the mud? Walker's eyes narrow. I'm saying maybe we judge people by their performance, not their appearance. Her performance? Tommy laughs. She hasn't performed anything yet except standing around looking lost. Maya finally speaks, her voice quiet but carrying clearly across the group. You're right. I haven't performed yet. But neither had any of you before today. The simplicity of her statement somehow makes it more cutting than any comeback could have been. Morrison checks his watch with theatrical precision. Time's up, Chun. Your audience awaits. Maya steps to the starting line, her heart hammering against her ribs. The course stretches before her like a living thing, all rope and steel and unforgiving earth. Behind her, 43 voices whisper predictions of her failure. On your mark. Morrison shouts. Maya closes her eyes for one precious second. The chain around her neck seems to pulse with warmth, and suddenly she's somewhere else entirely. Promise me something, Maya. The hospital bed makes Captain Sarah Chen look impossibly small, her once powerful frame reduced to sharp angles beneath white sheets. Promise me you won't let them make you smaller than you are. Maya grips her sister's hand, feeling how cold it's become. Sarah, don't. Promise me. Sarah's voice carries the weight of command even in her weakness. They'll try to convince you that you're not enough, that women like us don't belong in their world. But you have something they'll never understand. She presses something small and warm into Maya's palm, her Army Ranger tab, mounted on a silver chain. You have nothing left to lose. Go! Maya's eyes snap open, and she explodes forward. The first obstacle is a wall climbed 12 feet of smooth wood with barely enough handholds for fingertips. The other recruits had attacked it with raw power, hauling themselves up through sheer arm strength. Maya does something different. She approaches at an angle, using the support posts as stepping stones, flowing up the wall like water finding its course. The movement is so fluid, so technically perfect, that even Morrison's sneering expression flickers with surprise. The cargo net is next to a massive spider web of rope suspended over a mud pit. Where others had climbed straight up, fighting the net's natural sway, Maya moves diagonally, using the net's momentum to carry her forward. Her small frame becomes an advantage here, requiring less rope tension, allowing her to practically dance across the unstable surface. But it's at the third obstacle that jaws begin to drop. The rope traverses a single line, stretched 40 feet over churning water, with only small knots for handholds, had claimed 3 recruits, dumping them into the drink below. The successful candidates had inched across hand over hand, their progress measured in exhausting seconds. Maya grabs the rope and does something impossible. She flips upside down, hooking her knees over the line, and traverses the entire length inverted, using her core strength to pull herself hand over hand while her legs anchor her to the rope. The technique is so advanced, so perfectly executed, that even Jake stops making jokes. "What the hell, ... double quotes," Tommy whispers. Maya drops to the platform on the far side and immediately transitions to the next obstacle without pause. Her breathing is controlled, economical. While other recruits had gasped and wheezed between challenges, she flows from one to the next like she's running a choreographed routine. The mud crawl under barbed wire had torn uniforms and skin from every other candidate. Maya stays impossibly low, her movement more serpentine than human, navigating between the wire points with millimeter precision. When she emerges on the other side, her uniform is dirty but intact, her skin unmarked. "Jesus Christ," Jake breathes. Where did she learn to move like that? Morrison's radio crackles to life. "Sergeant Morrison, this is Colonel Hayes. I'm watching from the observation tower. Who is that recruit?" Morrison keys his radio, his voice tight. "Chun, sir, Maya Chun. Her technique is ... unusual. What's her background?" Morrison glances at his clipboard, confusion creeping into his expression. "It says here she's a civilian, sir. No prior military experience listed." A long pause. "That's impossible, Sergeant. Nobody moves like that without extensive training." Maya reaches the rope climb, a 30-foot vertical ascent with no knots, no footholds, just smooth rope over a pool of water. Every other recruit had struggled here, their arms burning, their progress measured in painful inches. Maya wraps her legs around the rope using a technique called the J-hook, immediately recognizing the additional support it provides. But then she does something that makes Morrison drop his clipboard. She climbs the rope backwards. Not figuratively backwards, literally backwards. She faces away from the rope, her body twisted in a complex configuration that allows her to ascend using muscle groups that aren't fatigued, while maintaining perfect balance and control. The technique is so advanced that Morrison has only seen it performed once before by an elite Army Ranger instructor during a demonstration. She reaches the top in 18 seconds. The course record, held by a Navy SEAL, is 22 seconds. Maya rings the bell at the top and begins her descent, and she does that backwards too, controlling her fall with minute adjustments that speak to thousands of hours of training. The recruits below have stopped talking entirely. Even the cynical ones wear expressions of disbelief. The wall climb comes next 20 feet of smooth concrete with minimal handholds. Maya approaches it at a run and does something that seems to defy physics. She wall runs up the first 8 feet, grabbing handholds that barely qualify as cracks in the concrete, and flows up the surface like gravity has simply decided to ignore her. At the top, she pauses for exactly 3 seconds, the first break she's taken since starting the course. But she's not resting. She's studying the final challenge. The tactical maze, a series of decision trees that require recruits to navigate through fake enemy territory, make strategic choices under pressure, and demonstrate leadership capability while exhausted. Most recruits spend 20 minutes here, methodically working through each scenario. Maya drops down into the maze and disappears from view. For 11 minutes, there's only silence. Then suddenly, the completion bell rings. Morrison checks his stopwatch, and his face goes white. That's impossible. Maya emerges from the maze moving like a shadow, her tactical decisions apparently flawless, her navigation perfect. She crosses the finish line and stops, finally allowing herself to breathe hard. Morrison stares at his stopwatch like it's malfunctioned. 31 minutes, 47 seconds. The course record is 38 minutes, 12 seconds. Set by a Delta Force operator. Maya has just shattered it by more than 6 minutes. The silence that follows is deafening. 43 recruits stand frozen, their mouths agape, their prejudices crumbling in real time. Morrison looks like he's seen a ghost. Sergeant Morrison. Colonel Hayes' voice crackles over the radio. Bring Chun to my office, now. As Maya walks past the group of stunned recruits, Jake Brennan finds his voice. Holy shit, Chun. What the hell are you? Maya pauses, her hand once again finding the chain beneath her uniform. When she speaks, her voice carries a weight that wasn't there before, the weight of secrets finally approaching the surface. I'm someone who had everything to prove. 20 minutes later, Maya sits across from Colonel Hayes in his office. Her still muddy uniform, a stark contrast to his pristine surroundings. Hayes is a man carved from granite, with silver hair and eyes that had seen too much war. On his desk sits Maya's personnel file, a file that Maya realizes is far too thin for someone with her apparent capabilities. Miss Chun, Hayes begins, his voice carefully neutral. I'm going to ask you a direct question, and I need a direct answer. Where did you learn to move like that? Maya's fingers find her chain again. The weight of 3 weeks of lies, 3 weeks of hiding, 3 weeks of being treated like she doesn't belong, suddenly feels unbearable. My sister taught me, she says quietly. Your sister? Captain Sarah Chen, Army Rangers, 75th Regiment. Kia in Afghanistan 18 months ago. Hayes' expression doesn't change, but something shifts behind his eyes. Captain Chen, I knew Sarah. She was one of the finest soldiers I ever served with. He pauses. She never mentioned having a sister. She was protecting me. Maya's voice cracks almost imperceptibly. Sarah knew I wanted to serve, but she also knew what I'd face as a woman in the military. So she trained me. Nights, weekends, whenever she was on leave. She said if I was going to join, I had to be twice as good to get half the credit. Hayes leans back in his chair. Why didn't you list your training on your application? Because it wasn't official. And because ... Maya takes a shaky breath. Because Sarah made me promise I'd find my own way, that I wouldn't use her name or her reputation as a crutch. She said true strength isn't about who you know. It's about who you are when everything is stripped away. And who are you, Maya? The question hangs in the air like a challenge. Maya straightens in her chair, and for the first time since arriving at Fort Braxton, she allows her full presence to fill the room. I'm a woman who spent 2 years learning every technique Sarah could teach me. I'm someone who can field strip a rifle in 23 seconds, who can navigate by stars, who can survive in hostile territory for weeks with minimal supplies. I'm someone who's been underestimated her entire life, and who's tired of pretending to be less than she is. She stands, pulling the silver chain from beneath her uniform. Sarah's Ranger tab catches the office light, gleaming like a promise kept. I'm also someone who made a vow to her dying sister that she would honor her sacrifice by becoming the soldier Sarah always knew she could be, even if it meant enduring 3 weeks of hell to prove it. Hayes examines the Ranger tab with reverence. This belonged to your sister? It was the last thing she gave me. She said it would remind me that I already had everything I needed inside me, that I just had to be brave enough to let it show. The colonel is quiet for a long moment, his weathered hands folded on his desk. When he speaks, his voice carries the weight of command. Miss Chun, what you did today was extraordinary. Your technique, your tactical thinking, your physical conditioning, all of it speaks to training far beyond what any civilian should possess. He pauses. But what impresses me most is your restraint. For 3 weeks, you allowed yourself to be underestimated, humiliated, dismissed. You could have revealed your capabilities at any time. Why didn't you? Maya's smile is small but fierce. Because Sarah taught me that the most dangerous opponents are the ones who let you underestimate them until it's too late. Hayes laughs a genuine, appreciative sound. Your sister trained you well. But I have to ask, why not apply directly to Ranger School? Why go through basic training with recruits? Because I wanted to earn it the same way everyone else does. Sarah said, The military needed women who could prove themselves within the system, not around it. She believed that real change comes from excellence, not exceptions. And you think you can maintain this level of performance throughout the rest of training? Maya's eyes flash with something primal and determined. Colonel, what you saw today was me holding back. I've been running at about 60% capacity because I didn't want to completely destroy these men's confidence. But if you want to see what I can really do... Hayes holds up a hand, his expression both amused and slightly concerned. I think you've made your point, Miss Chen. The question now is what we do with you. Sir, you're clearly overqualified for basic training. Your tactical knowledge exceeds most officers. Your physical capabilities rival special forces, and your composure under pressure is exceptional. He stands, moving to the window that overlooks the training ground. I could recommend you for immediate advancement, special assignment, officer candidate school. Any number of paths that would recognize your unique capabilities. Maya joins him at the window, where they can see the recruits below, still discussing her impossible performance in hushed, awed tones. But? She asks. But your sister was right about one thing. The military needs proof that women can excel within the existing system. If I fast-track you, it suggests that women need special treatment to succeed. He turns to face her. If you continue with your current training group and maintain excellence, it proves that women don't need accommodations. They need opportunities. Maya nods slowly. So I stay with the group. You stay with the group, but we make some adjustments. Hayes' smile turns slightly predatory. Sergeant Morrison is about to receive new orders regarding your training. Orders that will ensure you're given every opportunity to demonstrate your full capabilities. Sir, starting tomorrow, you'll be evaluated not as a recruit, but as a potential instructor candidate. Your performance today suggests you might have more to teach than to learn. He pauses. Are you prepared for that level of scrutiny? Maya's hand finds Sarah's ranger tab one final time, and her sister's words echo in her memory. You have nothing left to lose. Colonel, I've been preparing for that scrutiny my entire life. The next morning arrives with the subtlety of a freight train. Maya stands at attention with the rest of her training group, but the dynamic has shifted fundamentally. Where yesterday there were snickers and dismissive glances, today there's wary respect and barely concealed curiosity. Sergeant Morrison approaches the formation with the bearing of a man who's had his worldview thoroughly scrambled. Beside him walks a figure Maya doesn't recognize. Compact woman with steel gray hair and a kind of presence that suggests extensive combat experience. Listen up. Morrison's voice carries less venom than usual. This is Master Sergeant Patricia Valdez, Special Operations Instructor. She'll be observing training for the next phase of evaluation. Valdez steps forward, her sharp eyes scanning the group before settling on Maya. There's something in her expression, not quite recognition, but understanding. I've reviewed yesterday's performance metrics, Valdez announces. Some of you exceeded expectations. Some of you confirmed them. And one of you... Her gaze finds Maya. ... raised questions that need answers. Jake Brennan shifts uncomfortably. Questions, Master Sergeant? Questions like, how does someone with no military experience outperform trained operators? How does a civilian demonstrate tactical knowledge that takes years to develop? How does anyone run an obstacle course backwards and still set a new record? The group's attention focuses on Maya like a laser. She maintains her position at attention, but there's something different about her posture, now less hidden, more centered. Chun, Valdez commands, front and center. Maya steps forward with fluid precision, her movements economical and controlled. Valdez circles her slowly, taking in details that Morrison had missed. Your stance is textbook Army Ranger. Your breathing pattern suggests combat conditioning. Your muscle memory indicates thousands of hours of tactical training. Valdez stops directly in front of Maya. Want to explain how a civilian acquired these skills? Maya's response carries clearly across the training ground. Private study, Master Sergeant. I had an excellent teacher. Private study. Valdez's tone suggests she's not buying the simplification. What kind of private study teaches someone to wall run up a 20-foot barrier? The kind that assumes obstacles are opportunities to demonstrate creative problem-solving, Master Sergeant. A hint of a smile crosses Valdez's features. Creative problem-solving. I like that. She turns to address the group. Gentlemen, today's exercise is simple. Chen will demonstrate advanced tactical techniques. You will attempt to replicate them. Success will be measured not by completion, but by adaptation. Tommy Rodriguez raises his hand. Master Sergeant, with respect, shouldn't we be learning from, actual instructors? The temperature seems to drop 10 degrees. Valdez's smile becomes predatory. Rodriguez, are you suggesting that someone who just shattered a course record set by a Delta Force operator isn't qualified to demonstrate tactical techniques? No, Master Sergeant. I just meant what you meant. Valdez cuts him off. Is that you're having trouble accepting that your assumptions about capability might be wrong? She turns back to Maya. Chen, show them the rope traverse technique you used yesterday. Maya approaches the rope traverse set up 40 feet of line, suspended over the water obstacle. The other recruits gather around as she demonstrates the inverted traverse technique, moving hand over hand while suspended upside down from her knees. The advantage, she explains as she moves across the rope with fluid precision, is that it engages your core and legs for stability while preserving upper body strength for subsequent obstacles. Most people exhaust their arms fighting gravity. This technique uses gravity as an anchor point. She completes the traverse and drops to the platform. Who wants to try? The silence stretches uncomfortably. Finally, Walker raises his hand. I'll give it a shot. For the next hour, Maya becomes an instructor by necessity. She breaks down complex techniques into manageable components, identifies individual weaknesses, and adapts her teaching style to different learning approaches. Walker eventually masters the inverted traverse. Even Tommy manages a modified version that saves significant time. But it's Jake Brennan who provides the day's most telling moment. Chen, he says during a water break, his earlier hostility replaced by genuine curiosity. That wall run technique, how long did it take you to learn that? Maya considers the question carefully. 2 years of failures before I managed 3 steps. Another year before I could run the full height. Sarah used to say that the difference between impossible and inevitable is practice. Sarah? Maya's hand drifts to her chain. My teacher. Jake nods slowly. Must have been one hell of a teacher. She was. Maya's voice carries a weight that makes several recruits look up from their water bottles. She believed that excellence isn't about natural talent. It's about refusing to accept limitations that other people impose on you. That afternoon, the training evolution shifts to tactical scenarios. Valdez sets up a hostage rescue simulation, a complex environment requiring coordinated movement, strategic thinking, and split-second decision-making. Chen, Valdez announces, your team leader. The appointment sends ripples through the group. Morrison opens his mouth as if to object, then closes it again. Whatever orders he received from Colonel Hayes, they apparently covered this scenario. Maya surveys her team 8 men, who 3 days ago were making bets about when she'd quit. Now they're looking to her for leadership in a situation where mistakes have consequences. All right, she begins, her voice carrying new authority. Rodriguez, you're my second. Walker, you take point. Brennan, your rear security. She continues assigning positions with the confidence of someone who's done this before. The scenario begins with a briefing. 3 hostages held in a building with unknown number of hostiles, limited intelligence, time pressure. Standard military problem with no standard solution. Maya studies the mock-up building for exactly 90 seconds, then turns to her team. We're going to do something unconventional, she announces. Instead of a standard dynamic entry, We're going to use their expectations against them. She outlines a plan that involves creating multiple distractions, utilizing unexpected entry points, and coordinating timing down to the second. The plan is sophisticated, requiring precise execution and absolute trust. Questions? She asks. Rodriguez raises his hand. Chen, no offense, but this plan is pretty advanced. You sure about this? Maya's smile is sharp as a blade. Rodriguez, I'm about to show you what private study really means. The simulation begins. Maya's team moves like a machine, each member executing their role with precision that speaks to excellent briefing and clear communication. They create diversions that draw the hostiles away from the hostages, establish overwatch positions that provide complete coverage, and execute entry through routes that the opposition never considered. The entire operation takes 4 minutes and 37 seconds. 0 casualties. All hostages secured. All hostiles neutralized. Valdez checks her stopwatch and shakes her head. That's not possible, Master Sergeant, Maya inquires. The average time for this scenario is 18 minutes. The record, set by a ranger company last year, is 11 minutes and change. Valdez looks up from her stopwatch. You just cut that by more than half. Morrison stares at the simulation results like they're written in a foreign language. How? Maya's expression becomes thoughtful. Sarah always said that most people try to impose their will on a situation. But the best tacticians listen to what the situation is telling them and respond accordingly. Meaning? Meaning the building layout suggested 3 specific vulnerabilities. The hostiles' positions indicated a defensive mindset focused on conventional entry points. Their response patterns showed they were expecting standard tactics. Maya shrugs. So we gave them something non-standard. Valdez studies Maya with the intensity of a researcher examining a new species. Chen, where did you learn tactical planning? Books, Master Sergeant. Field manuals, case studies, after-action reports. Sarah said that every tactical problem has been solved. Before, you just have to know where to look for the solution. And you've read enough field manuals to develop this level of tactical thinking? Maya's smile becomes mysterious. Master Sergeant, I've read every field manual the Army has published in the last 10 years. Twice. The admission hangs in the air like a confession. Valdez exchanges a look with Morrison that speaks volumes. Chen, Valdez says carefully, most professional soldiers don't read that extensively. Most professional soldiers don't have sisters who quiz them on tactical doctrine every weekend for 2 years. Maya replies. That evening, as the recruits clean their equipment and prep for the next day, Jake Brennan approaches Maya with uncharacteristic humility. Chen, I owe you an apology. Maya looks up from the rifle she's cleaning with expert precision. For what? For being a complete ass. For assuming you didn't belong here. For making jokes about something I didn't understand. Jake sits down heavily on his bunk. I've been in the military mindset since high school. Football taught me that bigger, stronger, faster usually wins. But today, Today you taught me that smarter trumps stronger every single time. Maya's smile is genuine for the first time since arriving at Fort Braxton. Jake, strength comes in a lot of different forms. Physical power is just one of them. Yeah, well, your form of strength just made the rest of us look like amateurs. Jake pauses. That wall run thing, that's not normal human capability, is it? Maya considers how much truth to reveal. Let's just say that when someone you love believes in your potential, you find ways to exceed what you thought was possible. Your teacher, Sarah, she must have been something special. Maya's hand finds her chain, Sarah's ranger tab warm against her palm. She was the strongest person I've ever known, and she saw strength in me that I didn't know existed. Is she ... She's gone. Maya's voice carries finality that discourages further questions, but her lessons aren't. The next morning brings a new challenge and new observers. Maya notices additional personnel around the training area. Officers with insignia suggesting higher command authority. Whatever is happening, it's drawing attention beyond the training unit. Valdez addresses the formation with uncharacteristic formality. Gentlemen, today's exercise will test everything you've learned. You'll be evaluated by a panel of officers from multiple commands, and your performance will influence not just your advancement, but your assignments upon completion of training. Maya feels the weight of expectation settling on her shoulders. Around her, the other recruits shift nervously, suddenly aware that this is no longer just training, it's audition. The scenario, Valdez continues, is a large-scale tactical problem requiring coordinated team leadership, individual technical skills, and adaptive problem-solving. Each of you will rotate through leadership positions, with your team's success determining your individual scores. Morrison steps forward, his expression serious. Chun, you're up first. Maya takes position at the head of the formation, keenly aware of the observers studying her every movement. Among them, she recognizes Colonel Hayes, but there are others' faces she doesn't know, but whose bearing suggests significant authority. A scenario briefing is complex, a mock enemy compound with multiple objectives, time constraints, limited resources, and incomplete intelligence. The kind of problem that real military units face in actual operations. Maya studies the terrain models and intelligence reports with systematic precision, asking pointed questions that reveal depth of tactical knowledge. The observers exchange glances clearly. This is not typical recruit behavior. All right, Maya announces to her team after completing her analysis. We're facing a situation where conventional approaches will likely fail. The enemy expects us to follow doctrine, so we're going to rewrite it. She outlines a plan that involves simultaneous multi-axis approach, deception operations, and coordinated timing that would challenge experienced units. But her explanation is so clear, her confidence so absolute, that her team nods along as if complex tactical operations are routine. Questions? Maya asks. Walker raises his hand. Chun, this plan requires pretty precise timing. You sure we can pull off this level of coordination? Maya's smile is fierce. Walker, 3 weeks ago, you thought I was a liability. Today you're going to help me set a new standard for what's possible. The evolution begins. For the next 2 hours, Maya demonstrates leadership capabilities that leave the observer panel scrambling to take notes. She adapts to changing conditions in real time, makes tactical decisions under pressure that prove to be consistently correct, and coordinates her team's actions with precision that suggests years of command experience. When her team successfully completes all objectives in record time with 0 casualties, the silence from the observer panel is deafening. Colonel Hayes approaches as Maya debriefs her team. Miss Chun, a word. They step away from the group, and Hayes' expression is a mixture of admiration and concern. Maya, what I just witnessed was exceptional. Your tactical acumen, your leadership presence, your ability to inspire confidence in subordinates. All of it suggests command potential far beyond recruit level. Thank you, sir. But it also raises uncomfortable questions. No civilian acquires this level of tactical sophistication through private study. Your performance today would be impressive for a West Point graduate with combat experience. Maya meets his gaze steadily. Sir, exceptional circumstances sometimes produce exceptional preparation. That's what I'm concerned about. Hayes glances toward the observer panel, where animated discussions are taking place. Maya, there are people watching today who want to understand how someone with your capabilities ended up in basic training. They're asking questions about your background, your training, your qualifications, and some of them are wondering if there are things about your past that weren't included in your official record. Maya's expression doesn't change, but something shifts behind her eyes. Colonel, is there something specific you'd like to know? I'd like to know if Maya Chun is your real name. The question hits like a physical blow. Maya's carefully maintained composure cracks just enough to reveal the truth, that there are layers to her story that run deeper than anyone has suspected. Sir, yesterday you mentioned your sister, Captain Sarah Chen. I knew Sarah well, served with her on 2 deployments. She was one of the finest soldiers I ever knew. Hayes pauses, studying Maya's reaction. She was also an only child. The world tilts slightly around Maya. She can feel the weight of 3 weeks of lies, 3 weeks of partial truths, 3 weeks of carefully constructed identity threatening to collapse. Colonel ... So I'll ask again, Maya. What's your real name? Maya's hand finds Sarah's ranger tab, and suddenly the weight of carrying someone else's identity becomes unbearable. When she speaks, her voice carries the exhaustion of maintaining a facade for too long. My name is Maya Vasquez. Sarah Chen was my foster sister. Hayes nods slowly, as if pieces of a puzzle are finally falling into place. Go on. Sarah and I grew up in the same group home in El Paso. Different backgrounds, different ages, but we became family in the way that kids without families do. Maya's voice grows stronger as she tells the truth. When Sarah enlisted, she stayed in touch. When she made ranger, she came back to visit. And when she saw that I was heading down a bad path, she intervened. She saved my life, literally. Maya takes a shaky breath. I was 19, angry, making terrible choices. Sarah showed up one day and said she was taking me away from all of it, that she was going to teach me how to be strong instead of destructive. So you took her name. She gave me her name, said that Maya Vasquez was a girl who'd made mistakes, but Maya Chen could be anything she wanted to be. Maya's eyes shine with unshed tears. She spent 2 years turning me into someone worthy of carrying her identity. Hayes is quiet for a long moment, processing the revelation. And when Sarah died, she made me promise to honor the investment she'd made in me, to use what she'd taught me to serve something bigger than myself. Maya straightens, her voice gaining resolve. She said the military needed people who understood what it meant to fight for something worth protecting. So you enlisted using her identity. I enlisted using the identity she gave me. Sarah said that Maya Vasquez was our past, but Maya Chen was our future. Hayes studies her with new understanding. And the advanced training? The tactical knowledge? Sarah didn't just teach me to be a soldier, Colonel. She taught me to be the kind of soldier the military needs. One who understands that strength isn't about overpowering your enemy. It's about outthinking them. Maya's voice carries conviction that cuts through the air. Every weekend leave, every phone call, every letter was a lesson. Combat tactics, leadership principles, strategic thinking. She said if I was going to serve, I needed to be prepared for anything, including this conversation. Maya's smile is rueful, especially this conversation. Sarah said the truth has a way of surfacing, and when it does, you'd better be ready to stand behind it. Hayes glances toward the observer panel, where the discussions have grown more intense. Maya, what you've told me creates a significant problem. Identity fraud is a serious offense. Using false documentation to enlist is a federal crime. I know. Maya's voice is steady despite the magnitude of what she's admitting. But Colonel, I'd like to ask you something. If Sarah had lived, if she'd recommended me for service, based on the training she provided, would my background have mattered? That's not the point. With respect, sir, I think it is exactly the point. Maya's presence fills the space between them, and suddenly she's not a recruit anymore. She's a woman who has carried the weight of impossible expectations and exceeded them. Sarah believed that the military judges people by their actions, not their history. She believed that someone willing to sacrifice everything to serve their country deserved the chance to prove themselves. And you've certainly proved yourself, have I? Or have I just shown you what's possible when someone refuses to accept the limitations that others impose on them? Hayes considers this for a long moment. Maya, the performance you've demonstrated over the past few days, the tactical brilliance, the leadership capability, the technical expertise, all of it suggests someone with exceptional potential. But it also suggests someone who's been hiding their true capabilities. I haven't been hiding anything, Colonel. I've been waiting for the right moment to reveal everything. And that moment is now? Maya looks toward the training ground, where her fellow recruits are preparing for their own leadership evaluations. Some of them, Jake, Tommy, even Walker, are watching her conversation with Hayes with expressions of concern. Colonel, 3 weeks ago, those men saw me as a liability. Today, they're willing to follow me into tactical scenarios that would challenge experienced units. That transformation didn't happen because I overwhelmed them with superior capability. It happened because I showed them what's possible when you refuse to accept other people's limitations. Hayes follows her gaze. You're saying your deception was necessary? I'm saying that if I'd arrived here as Maya Vasquez, former foster kid with advanced tactical training, I would have been treated as an anomaly. Studied, analyzed, categorized. Maya turns back to Hayes, but arriving as Maya Chen, apparently untrained civilian, I had the opportunity to demonstrate that excellence comes from dedication, not background. And the identity fraud? Maya reaches beneath her uniform and removes Sarah's Ranger tab, holding it up to catch the sunlight. Colonel, this tab represents everything Sarah believed about service, sacrifice, and the potential for people to exceed expectations. She gave it to me not as a trophy, but as a responsibility. She extends the tab toward Hayes. I've carried Sarah's identity for 18 months, and in that time, I've tried to honor what it represents. But you're right, the truth needs to be told. So I'm telling it. Hayes doesn't take the tab. Maya, what you're describing is a young woman who was given an extraordinary opportunity and made the most of it. The question is what we do with that information. Sir, the regulations are clear about fraudulent enlistment, but the regulations also recognize exceptional circumstances. Hayes glances toward the observer panel again. Those officers have been watching someone perform at levels that suggest significant command potential. If I tell them that performance was achieved through deception, they'll focus on the deception instead of the performance. Exactly. But if I tell them that performance was achieved by someone who overcame extraordinary circumstances to serve their country, Maya's eyes widen as she grasps the implications. Colonel, are you suggesting... I'm suggesting that Maya Vasquez, trained by Captain Sarah Chen, recommended for service by a Medal of Honor recipient, might have a different conversation with that review panel than Maya Chen, identity fraud suspect. The revelation hits Maya like a physical blow. Sarah received the Medal of Honor? Hayes' expression softens, posthumously, for actions that saved her entire unit during her final deployment. The ceremony was last month. He pauses. Maya, your sister died a hero, and from what I've seen over the past few days, she trained another hero. Maya's composure finally cracks. Tears she's held back for 18 months begin to fall, and her voice breaks as she speaks. She never told me about the Medal of Honor. In all her letters, all her calls, she never mentioned. Sarah was modest about her achievements. She was more interested in talking about your potential than her own accomplishments. Hayes' voice carries warmth that wasn't there before. But Maya, if you're willing to tell the truth about your background, I think there's a path forward that honors both your capabilities and your sister's sacrifice. What kind of path? The kind that recognizes exceptional preparation, regardless of its source. The kind that values results over regulations. The kind that Sarah Chen would have wanted for her foster sister. Maya wipes her eyes, straightening her shoulders as she processes the implications. Colonel, what are you proposing? I'm proposing that we tell the review panel exactly who you are, Maya Vasquez, trained by Medal of Honor recipient Captain Sarah Chen, demonstrating the highest levels of tactical excellence and leadership potential. Someone who deserves consideration for advanced training and expanded opportunities. And the identity fraud will be handled as an administrative matter, mitigated by exceptional circumstances and exemplary performance. Hai's smile is paternal. Maya, the military has procedures for recognizing exceptional cases. Your case is about as exceptional as they come. Maya clutches Sarah's Ranger tab, feeling the weight of 18 months of deception lifting from her shoulders. Colonel, if you're willing to take that risk, it's not a risk, Maya. It's recognition of what you've earned through your own merit. Hayes gestures toward the observer panel. Those officers want to understand how someone performs at your level. I think it's time they learn the truth. The walk to the observer panel feels like a journey across years instead of yards. Maya can feel the weight of her fellow recruits' eyes as she accompanies Hayes toward the group of officers whose decision will determine her future. Colonel Hayes addresses the panel with formal authority. Gentlemen, I'd like to introduce Maya Vasquez, foster sister of the late Captain Sarah Chen, Medal of Honor recipient. The name recognition is immediate. Several officers straighten, their expressions shifting from curiosity to attention. Miss Vasquez, Hayes continues, has demonstrated exceptional tactical capabilities developed through intensive private training provided by Captain Chen prior to her death. Her performance over the past several days suggests command potential that warrants special consideration. Major General Patricia Morrison, a woman whose presence commands immediate respect, steps forward. Miss Vasquez, Colonel Hayes has briefed us on your tactical performance. What he hasn't explained is how a civilian acquired military-grade training. Maya takes a breath, feeling the weight of truth after weeks of careful omission. Ma'am, my foster sister believed that anyone willing to serve their country deserved the best preparation possible. She spent 2 years teaching me everything she knew about tactics, leadership, and military excellence. 2 years of informal training produced this level of capability? 2 years of intensive, focused training by someone who understood that lives depend on tactical excellence. Maya's voice grows stronger. Captain Chen didn't just teach me techniques, ma'am. She taught me to think like a soldier, to lead like a soldier, and to serve like a soldier. General Morrison studies Maya with the intensity of someone evaluating a strategic asset. Miss Vasquez, the performance we've observed suggests training beyond what any individual instructor could provide. Your tactical knowledge spans multiple specialties. Ma'am, Captain Chen believed in comprehensive preparation. She said that modern warfare requires soldiers who understand multiple disciplines, not just their specialty. And you absorbed this training while maintaining civilian status? Maya's hand finds Sarah's ranger tab, drawing strength from its familiar weight. Ma'am, I absorbed this training while preparing to honor my sister's sacrifice by serving something bigger than myself. The exchange draws nods from several panel members. General Morrison continues her evaluation. Miss Vasquez, your tactical decisions during today's exercise showed sophisticated understanding of operational planning. Where did you acquire that level of strategic thinking? From studying every military engagement Captain Chen could find documentation from. She said that tactical excellence comes from understanding not just what works, but why it works and when it fails. You studied historical military operations? Every major engagement from the last 50 years now. Captain Chen said that other people's mistakes could become my advantages if I learned from them. General Morrison exchanges glances with her colleagues. Miss Vasquez, what you're describing suggests academic-level military education combined with practical application. That's typically only available through formal military schooling. Ma'am, with respect, I think it's available to anyone willing to commit completely to the learning process. Captain Chen said that excellence isn't about access to formal training. It's about dedication to mastering whatever training is available. The answer hangs in the air, like a challenge to conventional thinking. General Morrison's expression suggests she's reconsidering fundamental assumptions about military education. Miss Vasquez, your sister obviously prepared you exceptionally well. But preparation and performance under actual military conditions are different things. How do you know you can maintain this level of excellence under real operational stress? Maya's smile is sharp and confident. Ma'am, I've been maintaining this level of excellence while being systematically underestimated, dismissed, and discriminated against for 3 weeks. I think I can handle operational stress. The boldness of her response draws surprised looks from some panel members, But General Morrison's expression shifts to something approaching approval. Miss Vasquez, that's a fair point. But it raises another question. Why endure that treatment? Why not reveal your capabilities immediately? Because Captain Chen taught me that true strength isn't about proving you're better than other people, ma'am. It's about proving that other people can be better than they think they are. Maya gestures toward her fellow recruits, who are watching the exchange with rapt attention. 3 weeks ago, those men saw me as a liability. Today, they're willing to follow me into complex tactical scenarios, because they've learned that capability comes in different forms than they expected. You're saying your deception was educational? I'm saying my restraint was instructional, ma'am. There's a difference between hiding your capabilities and revealing them strategically. General Morrison considers this for a long moment. Miss Vasquez, what you've accomplished is remarkable. But it also presents us with an unusual situation. Your capabilities clearly exceed basic training level, but your status as a new recruit complicates advanced placement options. Ma'am, I'm not looking for advanced placement. I'm looking for the opportunity to serve alongside people who understand that excellence comes from commitment, not background. And if we offered you advanced training opportunities, officer candidate school, special operations pipelines, advanced tactical schools, Maya's expression becomes thoughtful. Ma'am, I'd be honored by those opportunities. But I'd also want to ensure that my acceptance was based on demonstrated merit, not special consideration. Meaning? Meaning that if I'm offered advanced training, I want to earn it the same way anyone else would. Through competition, evaluation, and proven performance. Maya straightens. Captain Chen taught me that the military respects excellence, but it demands integrity. I want both. General Morrison's smile is genuine for the first time during the conversation. Miss Vasquez, your sister trained you well. Not just in tactical skills, but in military values. Thank you, ma'am. However, your situation still requires resolution. You enlisted under false documentation, which is a serious matter regardless of your motivations or capabilities. Maya nods. Ma'am, I understand the seriousness of that decision. I'm prepared to accept whatever consequences are appropriate. The consequences, General Morrison announces, will be determined by the totality of your case. Exceptional circumstances, demonstrated integrity, exemplary performance, and recommendation by a Medal of Honor recipient create a situation that requires non-standard resolution. She turns to address the full panel. Gentlemen, I propose that Miss Vasquez be granted corrected documentation reflecting her true identity, with her training period adjusted to recognize her demonstrated capabilities. Further, I recommend she be considered for advanced training opportunities based on merit evaluation. Colonel Hayes steps forward. General, I'd like to add that Miss Vasquez has also demonstrated exceptional leadership potential with her current training group. Her ability to inspire confidence and elevate performance in others suggests command capability. Noted, Colonel. General Morrison turns back to Maya. Miss Vasquez, you'll be reassigned to an advanced training track with evaluation for multiple specialties. Your performance over the next phase will determine your ultimate placement and opportunities. Maya feels the weight of 18 months of deception lifting from her shoulders, replaced by the excitement of unlimited potential. Thank you, ma'am. I won't disappoint you. Miss Vasquez, based on what we've observed, disappointment seems unlikely. The question is how far your capabilities will take you. As the panel disperses, Maya finds herself surrounded by her fellow recruits, their expressions ranging from amazement to admiration. Jake Brennan approaches first, his earlier hostility completely absent. Maya, I don't know what just happened, but I know I owe you an apology that's way overdue. Jake, you don't owe me anything. Yeah, I do. I spent 3 weeks treating you like you didn't belong here, when the truth is you probably belong here more than any of us. Jake extends his hand. I'm sorry for being an ass, and I'm grateful for what you taught me about judging people by their actions instead of their appearance. Maya shakes his hand, feeling the genuine respect in his grip. "Jake, you learned to trust me as a teammate. That's all that matters." Tommy Rodriguez joins them, his expression sheepish. "Maya, I feel like an idiot. All those jokes, all that attitude, and you are holding back the whole time." "Tommy, you weren't wrong to be skeptical. I was asking you to trust someone who wasn't telling you the whole truth." "But you were protecting something important," Walker interjects. "Your sister's legacy, your own integrity, our opportunity to learn from you." He pauses. "That takes a different kind of strength than what we're used to seeing." Maya looks around the group of men who have become her brothers through shared hardship and mutual respect. "All of you have shown me what it means to be part of something bigger than yourself. That's what Sarah wanted me to learn." "What happens now?" Jake asks. "Are you staying with us, or are they moving you to some special program?" "I don't know yet, but I know that whatever happens, I'll remember what we accomplished together." Maya's smile encompasses the entire group. 3 weeks ago, we were strangers with nothing in common. Today, we're a team that can tackle anything. "Because you showed us how," Tommy says. "Because we figured it out together," Maya corrects. "That's what teams do." As the recruits begin to disperse, Maya finds herself alone with her thoughts for the first time in weeks. She pulls out Sarah's Ranger tab, studying its familiar weight in her palm. "We did it, Sarah," she whispers. "We proved that excellence isn't about where you come from. It's about what you're willing to become." The tab catches the late afternoon sunlight, seeming to pulse with warmth that feels like approval. That evening, Maya sits in Colonel Hayes' office, reviewing the paperwork that will officially transform her from Maya Shun, mysterious civilian, to Maya Vasquez, advanced training candidate. "Maya," Hayes says as she signs the final document, "I want you to understand what you've accomplished here. In 3 weeks, you've not only demonstrated exceptional personal capabilities, but you've also changed how this entire training unit thinks about potential and performance. Colonel, I just did what Sarah taught me to do. What your sister taught you was to be excellent. What you chose to do was use that excellence to elevate everyone around you." Hayes leans back in his chair. "That's the difference between a good soldier and a great leader. Thank you, sir." "Maya, I have one more question. Now that the truth is out, now that you've been recognized for your capabilities, what's your goal? What do you want to achieve in the military?" Maya considers the question, thinking about Sarah's sacrifice, about the men who've become her brothers, about the potential for service that stretches ahead of her. "Colonel, I want to prove that Captain Sarah Chen's investment in me was worth it. I want to serve with excellence, lead with integrity, and help other people discover capabilities they didn't know they had." "And personally, what do you want for Maya Vasquez?" Maya's smile is fierce and determined. "I want to become the kind of soldier who makes impossible things look inevitable. The kind of leader who helps other people exceed their own expectations. The kind of person Sarah always believed I could be." Hayes nods approvingly. "Maya, I think you're well on your way to achieving those goals." As Maya leaves the office, she passes the training ground where tomorrow's recruits will begin their own journey toward discovering their potential. She can see the obstacle course that started her transformation, the challenges that revealed her capabilities, the proving ground where she learned to trust herself as much as others learned to trust her. But she also sees something else, the beginning of a new story, one where Maya Vasquez writes her own legend instead of carrying someone else's. She pulls out Sarah's Ranger tab one final time, holding it up to catch the stars that are just beginning to appear in the evening sky. "Thank you, Sarah," she whispers, "for seeing what I could become, for giving me the tools to become it, for teaching me that true strength isn't about proving you're better than everyone else. It's about proving that everyone else can be better than they think they are." The tab gleams in the starlight, a promise kept and a future begun. Maya Vasquez, foster sister of Medal of Honor recipient Captain Sarah Chen, walks toward her barracks with the confidence of someone who has discovered that the most powerful weapon in any arsenal is the refusal to accept other people's limitations. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, new opportunities to serve, new chances to prove that excellence comes from dedication rather than background. But tonight, Maya sleeps peacefully, knowing that she has honored her sister's sacrifice by becoming exactly who Sarah always knew she could be. The simple woman who was barred from training had become the exceptional soldier who ran the obstacle, course backwards, and in doing so, had shown everyone watching that impossible is just another word for hasn't been done yet. True strength isn't loud, it's unshakable. Excellence isn't inherited, it's earned. And sometimes, the most powerful way to prove what you're capable of is to let others underestimate you until it's too late. In memory of all the Captain Sarah Chens who see potential in places others refuse to look, and all the Maya Vasquezes who prove that potential right.